Hello everybody, Reggie Time here, and in a moment we're going to be looking at some hands I played on the 10NL full ring anti-streets on GG. The game plays where every player antis half a blind, as you can see here. Pre-flop, every player antis a small blind, and then the game plays as normal. The game plays a lot bigger than normal 10NL. I wouldn't like to say exactly how big, but I'd say average pot size is probably higher than the 20 nil games I usually play, maybe up to like 25 nil. So the game plays let's say somewhere between 20 and 25 nil, even though it's only 10 nil. And the reason I'm playing it is mostly because the last month or so, maybe more, I've had a bit of a malaise at poker. My motivation to grind hasn't really been there. There's been a few reasons for that. Not going to go into it now. I've mentioned them in my Discord server for anyone that isn't in it. Ask me for the link and I shall give it to you. I don't put it on my videos anymore because I'm not selling or spamming anything anymore. But if you want to join, leave a comment in the description and I'll give you the link so you can join. And yeah, so I've been a bit of a malaise and I've played these games on and off, like 2-5, 5-10, 10-25, even a tiny bit of 25-50 for like over a year now. But I struggle to get money on GG because of their know your customer restrictions and my previous unwillingness to give them my banking information. But I've finally got right at fixing that, and I can get up to $1,000 a month now on GG. But what I'm doing here, I just put $200 on Monday, and I'm playing these games, and I'm going to try and do it as not a challenge for YouTube, but just for myself. I'm going to try and build a bankroll from that. There's not going to be regularly updated on here. It probably update a little bit in Discord, but yeah, I'm looking forward to just grinding these games for a bit and just not worrying about I need to make money for an income, etc. And just trying to get really quite good at these games. When I've tried them in the past, and that's the main thread for this video, I've really struggled from my early position. Like you'd get a hand like this, for example, you'd get aces in early position, and meaning this it's not so bad because there's two players missing, so it's almost a six max hand. But quite often the big table would be full. You would raise to who knows what. I mean, what would you raise here? Imagine this table's full, so there's six blinds in the middle. What would your open size be with aces under the gun? I don't know. I see regs making it their raise first in seven bigs, 7.5 bigs, five bigs, four bigs, 3.5 bigs, three bigs, 2.5 bigs min raise. It appears that nobody really knows what the optimal pre-flop size is. Certainly not in the lower stakes games. Maybe in higher stakes games, people have a better idea. And there's no charts out there for these games telling us, which I think is partly why I like these games, because there aren't just charts and explanations out there that regs can just basically copy and paste into their own game. You've got to try and figure strategies out for yourself. It's a bit old school, really, and I like that. You can't just run spots post flop in GTO Wizard because there's nothing like it. A lot of pots go multi-way. There's the antis pre-flop. There's the various different sizes you see. People's various different three-betting strategies. Overall, I find it a much more interesting game. And I'm looking forward to continuing to explore it. Hopefully, I build up the bankroll so I can move up and play 10-25 at some point. But as I said, financially, there's not much like motivation for me to play poker at the minute. So it's very much more just a challenge for me to enjoy the game and to just see if I can and beat this game and what it can be beaten for. In terms of big blinds per 100. So that's where we're at with it. So to get back to the point, today we're going to discuss, excuse me, the quandary of early position. And I've come up with a loose strategy of when I'm not in any of the traditional six max seats, I'm not going to play raises pre-flop. We're just going to play limps. With a limp raised, limp call, and sometimes depending on sizing and what have you in action, some limp folds too. And I genuinely think it's a good strategy in these games. It's been stolen a little bit from my time playing short deck because you just get such good odds pre-flop. There's 5 blinds. Often there's going to be 6 blinds in the pot, and you're going to have hands that are just getting good odds to call. Now you could make that argument and stretch it to a mile, saying you could just pretty much limp anything in short deck. You're limping 40% of the deck or something like that from early position. We're employing limp raise strategies, limp call strategies, etc. I don't think it can be quite this loose here because ranges are still relatively tight when you get isolated, etc. So I don't think it can just be as simple as limp call everything, and then it doesn't matter because you're getting good odds. Because too often, as I found early on playing these games when I was trying to devise a limp strategy, too often you'd limp 5-4 suited or 6-7 suited or something like that. Then you will get isolated, and all of a sudden you're not getting great odds to call. Quite often you're going to have a super dominated hand, etc. You're gonna flop bits and pieces that encourage you to stick around. The pots are huge, so even small bets are relatively large numbers of big blinds, etc. And it could just get real messy real quick. So I'm still limping relatively narrow ranges. I'm not going to say exactly what those ranges are, in case anyone that plays these games watches. Not that that's such a big deal, but I haven't anywhere near got the strategy perfected in my mind yet. So I don't want to go too far into it, but I'm playing relatively narrow ranges still from early position, but we're playing all limps. So these are what we're going to discuss in this video going forward. Hopefully there's some interesting post-flop spots, and they won't all just be like limp, raise, get it in pre-set, which is unlikely because quite often, people don't want to get 200 blinds in pre. But what I have found is people like to ISO a little bit too wide sometimes, or not. Well, no, that's not true. Well, ISO probably reasonable ranges, I would guess, but then just struggle to fold them when they are limp raised. So there's loads of hands to get through, and I've only got an hour, so hopefully we'll get through them all. Here, obviously, we limp the aces. We get ISO'd from someone who looks like a reg. And this is the first question, like, what sizes would you? I'd really like some comments on these, on a lot of these spots, because I'm freestyling at the minute, and I'd be interested if there's any common consensus on what size to make things, like our sizing pre-flop, our sizing post-flop, etc. Because I'm just winging it. It's going really well, to be fair, but I am literally just winging it. So here, for example, you've been ISO'd to 4.5 bigs. There's now 10.5 bigs in the middle. So what is your limp raise size going to be here? Bearing in mind we start the hand 200 big blinds deep. I don't really have all right, I'm going to make it two. Here, for example, we make it 24, which is just under 6x's raise, but it's just 2.5x the pot. If this guy made it 7 or 8, I don't know what size I would have made it, etc. If he makes it 3, I don't know. I don't really have a uniform size, and also it will depend on the player too. So what size would you be making it here versus this size? And if you are going to comment any of the hands, please timestamp them so I can click the little timestamp thing and reply to you properly. If you don't timestamp it and you're like, oh, with the aces, of which there might be 15 in this video, I would do this, and I don't know which ones you're meaning, then it's going to be hard for me to respond. So anyway, we make it 24 here. We get a caller. We get what should be a really, really good flop. It's very unlikely that we've been isolated with any hand that's improved past us here. I mean, it's not out of the realms of possibility that pocket pairs will try to ISO here, but I think the range is going to be much more dominated in high cards and bigger pairs. If we beat here, we just beat here. We've got an SPR of 3.5. It's just going to be tough shit for us. But how do we play the hand now? What's our sizing strategy going to be? Do we just 3E? And for that, I don't know. Do we just bet small? Do we just bet big because our range is hyperpolar? So because we're polar pre with our limp raise, do we just bet big? Don't know. Let's see what I did. I decided to go on the larger side. That will be around 2/3 pot, I guess. And your man min raises. No idea what this is all about. Don't remember the hand. Part of me feels that this is someone trying to just slow us down, like min raising here to check back turn, and just almost in a sense to try and pot control, if that makes sense. Let's maybe just call here. Turn can go check, check, and then they can decide on river. Maybe if they think we're too heavy with bluffs here, or who knows what? Who knows why they're doing this? I think our only play here is jam because this isn't going to be a bluff very often. I think this is going to be more likely a hand like tens, jacks, queens. I mean, it makes no sense to do it with any of those hands, but I think that's the kind of hand it's going to be. It's going to be somebody, I don't know, trying to find out where they're at, fucking just trying to slow us down. Who knows what the fuck this is? But it's a reg doing it, and it is weird. We decided to just pile it in. Your man calls. And pocket threes. So yeah, absolutely no clue what's going on there. But we like it. Next hand we have the ace king under the gun again at a full table this time. You can see the full complement of 6 blinds in the middle. Again we limp, get a 3 big blind ISO, and the call from the big blind. So again, like what size are we wanting to make it here? There's 12 blinds in the pot. Do we want to go 2.5 times the pot again, which would be something like 28? Because it's only 3 big blinds this time and not 4, would that be too big? Do we want to just make this like 20 maybe, like 7 extra raise, just under? Do we want to make it 18? We do want to try and get some fold equity because there's 12 blinds in the pot, and just picking these 12 blinds up uncontested pre-flop with the ace king is nice. My preferred outcome here would be we raise and both players just fold, and we just pick up the 12 big blinds uncontested. That would be the ideal outcome. We do want to retain some fold equity, but we don't want to make our hand so big that we only get action, our raise so big that we only get action from the absolute top of the deck. So again, what size would any of you be interested in going here? I think anything smaller than 18 would be too small. I think anything bigger than, say, 23, 24 would probably like filter ranges in a bad way for us. Don't know. Let's see what I did in game. 17, too small. I think it's very likely we get peeled here too often. But we do get the 2 folds this time, so it worked this time. Maybe because it's only a 3x ISO, maybe that's indicative of this range not being particularly strong. Because I'd be surprised if many people were ISO in the top of the deck for just 3 bigs here. This could easily just be somebody just trying to like, they've identified me as someone's limped under the gun. Maybe they've identified me as a fish or something, and they're just trying a cheap isolation play. Who knows? But we took that one down too. Here we have the kings again. We limp, of course. Another limp. Then we see the ISO to 6.5 bigs. Then we see the 3-bet to 26.5 bigs. So I think here, and this guy only starts 126 bigs. So yeah, we're clearly not worried about that start. We're just all in against them. But we have 2 other players in the pot, both of which we are 250 big blinds plus deep with. So are we just ripping it here to try and get heads up with the big blind? Are we 4-betting to a non-all-in size and then just obviously calling off? Are we just calling because we are up against 2? Well, not the cut-off range here doesn't have to be wide at all, but you imagine the big blinds range is probably very narrow. Yeah, I personally, if I was playing this hand now, I don't know, what would I do? I was about to say something with confidence then, but I don't actually know what size I would make this. I think probably just all in. There's 40 big blinds in the middle. I mean, what are we going to do? Make it like 65? And then what? Just call it off versus big blind, of course. Seems messy. I think just all in, and if we're just aces versus kings, we were going to get stacked anyway. Yeah, I think just all in here, given this 26 now bigs has gone in the middle, making 40 big blinds in the pot. We're not going to take this down pre-uncontested, you wouldn't imagine. So just like it's unlikely we're just going to pick up the 40 bigs now. But I think all in's probably the play. But I don't know. Again, I don't know. Interested in what people think. We go for this weird click. I don't like this. Or do I like this? Fuck knows. Tell me if you like it. And everyone just folds, and we just pick up the pot, and that's nice. We have aces at a six-handed table, so this shouldn't be a limp. I've obviously not noticed a six-handed here because this should just be a raise. It's like a traditional six-max table. I shouldn't be limping this, so this is a misclick from me. Previous is me not noticing that we're playing six-handed. We go with a limp because I trust me that I'm not doing this like what is it, just a six-handed table, but it works out anyway. We get a big ISO from someone playing 22-10 on the button. This is always going to be a real hand. We limp 3-bet to just not even quite 4x. I think given they made it 8.3 blinds, and as far as I can tell, in every position, in every like pre-flop, post-flop, etc., raise size tends to equal hand strength from a lot of these player types, these 22-10 types, these 19-11 types. Raise size seems to, or raise or bet size seems to equal hand strength. I think this is too small. I think we'll get action on a bigger raise here. We get called. We get a lovely flop again. SPR3. Again, I don't know. I should really have my geo sizing up when playing. I have like a table that has all the geo sizes for like 3 and 2e. I haven't been having that up. I've been 8 tabling. It's frenetic enough without having to refer to charts and things. So I've just been freestyling my sizing, not really looking for geo spots, just looking for something that might be good enough for you. So, for example, here I might be like, well, we can just go. It doesn't really matter on the flop. The flop's bone dry. Just go really small, even though it's a polarized spot again. I think we can just probably get away with going really small here because the SPR is just 3. We could go something like quarter pot, which would then put 90 in the pot on the turn and leave like 160 behind. Then on the turn, we could go, like, I don't know, 2/3 pot, 3/4 pot, and shove river. Something like that. Like small, bigger shove, I think would be my preferred line here. That's a bit on the larger side than I was expecting to see, but whatever. Get called. So now turn SPR 1.4-ish. So if we were to go 40% here, for example, we were to go, say, 45 bigs, I put 200 in the pot. Yeah, I think 40. It's something around there. 40%, sorry. Yep. And we just get the fold. Here we're limping 10 under the gun. We're not planning to limp raise this one. We're just going to try and limp call, see a flop. We see an ISO, and then we see a big blind 3-bet. So is this now going to be a limp call, limp raise, or limp fold? I think in these positions, where small blind ISO, big blind 3-bet versus a limp, I think tens isn't in particularly good shape, especially from someone we have table stats on playing 15-8. Only a small sample, of course, but I may have had more hands on them at the table. Given that we're not closing the action, given that they're asking us to put 14 big blinds in pre-flop, even though we are deep, it's still a lot of big blinds to put in. And implied odds are significantly cut down. Our realization isn't going to be great because we're just going to be facing lots of c-bet. So even on like, we might call here, for example, and then small blind can call or fold, do what they want. And let's say the flop comes down favourably for tens, but then we're facing like quite a large bet. It gets real dicey real quick. I think just fold here. See what I did? Yeah, I did just fold. And play the hand through, see what happened. Don't remember the hand at all. Yeah, so big blind this time clearly was messing around a little bit, but never mind. Pocket eights. Again, this is going to be a limp under the gun. Trying to like limp call, see flops, flop sets. Big multi-weight limp. We completely break. We're not planning investing anymore in this pot. I imagine this one's going to be a boring one. Yeah, we just limp fold. Pocket eights again. Again, we are limping. Checks round. Could we stab here? I mean, the 72-10 doesn't rate to have a hand. The big blind's just checked and then checked again. I think maybe we can stab here. I suspect I'm not going to. But I think maybe we can just stab here. It's a bit mergy, but it's just not likely we have the best hand and we could use some protection. There is 7.5 blinds in the pot. Yeah, I think maybe just stab here. I suspect I'm not going to. This is part of the reason why I'm doing these reviews, like these marginal hands, like see if I'm just being a bit too weak passive post flop. I think given the 72-10's over limped, yeah, he can have some queen X, of course he can. Have random queen X, but he's just gonna have so much air, so much of his hands just gonna, so much of his range is gonna be nothing here. Big blind's just not gonna have much either. I think we should just stab here for like 2/3 pot, something like that. Like I don't know, 4.5 bigs. We don't. Checks through, turn king. Yeah, 2 passive edge. 10. I mean, we might win. Yeah, there exactly. You know, just fold out this equity that we could just fold out the 2 overs. Just bet 1/3 pot on the 2/3 pot on the flop, add a half pot, 1/3, 40%. Just put some money in on the flop. Just like collect any dead money that's out there. And there's plenty of dead money out. Well, not plenty. There's only 7.5 bigs, but you know what I mean. This money's dead a lot of the time. It's just there, ripe to be picked up. And I gave 2 players 2 chances to suck out. That was not good. Ace queen off. I don't even know if this wants to be part of a limping range here. Maybe because I do have raises in these positions too, and not just pure limping. I am having some raises. I'm not sure this hand fits into a limp range because it doesn't really want to limp raise. Limp call, I guess, but it's a bit dusty. I think I should just raise this one. I think this is a mistake. I am trying to refine the strategy as I go on, and I think like limping ace queen offsuit is a mistake. I think just raise it. We do go for the limp though. We get ISO to 11 big blinds, so someone playing 10/8. I may have had more stats at the table at the time, because when you join a table, the player's stats is their stats at the table. So if this player had been at this table for say 200 hands, then I would have his stats over 200, even though I hadn't played those 200 hands with him. So he might have had slightly different stats. I think just limp fold the ace queen off versus a tight plays 11x ISO. Fine. Because he could just check there and see a flop and his ISO win versus under the gun limp. But I think limping was a mistake in the first place, big mistake. We're going to do it again. Yeah, this isn't a feature of my game anymore because I just think it's a bad hand to limp. With the flop, get led into fold, fine. Ace king off, limp, ISO. So we have the perennial problem now of well, not problem, but question of what size. Again, it's going to be villain dependent. It's going to be stack size dependent. It's going to be raise size dependent. There's a lot of moving parts in this. I wouldn't want to see me go less than 20 here. But exactly what the correct size is, who knows what the correct size is. But what feels like a correct size, I don't exactly know. but I wouldn't want to see less than 20. There's 10.5 bigs in the pot, maybe like 22, 24, something like that. Too small again, Reg. Don't like it. I just don't think we're collecting enough fold equity here. Again, we do get the fold. I think it's too small. Pocket tens. Limp. Lead from the big blind. I think we just have a call here. No, Reggie. Reggie. This has to be a lapse in concentration from me. Because I wouldn't consciously decide to fold. I am, to be fair, I'm 8-tabling. I'm constantly scanning lobbies for like good tables, etc. My concentration is good by and large, but I am prone to lapses. This is not a fold. Yeah, this will not have me been making a focused, conscious decision on folding here. This will have been me just, I don't know what. I can't explain it. Just pure concentration, lack of focus. We should definitely have called that bet. I think had we still been in the hand, I still probably would have called here, but feel much less good about it. And then river, I would have check folded to that bet. Ace king or limp. I saw this time to 5 big blinds. So again, the usual question: what size? We are just over 200 bigs deep. I wouldn't want to see myself going less than 24, 25 blinds here. Kind of want to I want to go like 5x the open, which is also around 2x pot in this instance. Or 2x the current size of the pot, 23, whatever, it's fine, I suppose. And we take it down again. And we're happy to take these down all the time. I mean, oops, sorry, I clicked the wrong button. There is 12 blinds in the pot, and I'm very happy to just have them for. Oops, muted myself. I hope I haven't muted myself too long. I was saying, I'm happy just to pick 12 blinds up pre here. We've got a hand that can get involved in a scrap. I mean, we don't want to get ace king all in pre for 200 bigs. I think if we limp raise here and get jammed on, we have a pretty shitty decision. Fortunately, that hasn't been much of a feature of these games. Which tells me when we do limp raise and get jammed on, we're just going to be up against the richest part of the deck because there's an awful lot of ISO fold and ISO call, and I barely remember being limp jammed on. When I've limp raised, I barely ever remember being jammed on. So we don't really want to get in a massive fight with this hand, but we're just picking it up pre 12 bigs. Nice. I'm happy with that. Aces, limp, ISO call. Everyone else folds. 91 bigs, 135 bigs. So we don't need to go as big here. I think we can probably just go something like 17 or 18 because there's not as much urgency for pot growth because the SPI is already relatively small. SPR 10 with this player is going to be a lot lower if we get action. I think we don't need to go as big here. Something in the region of like 16 to 18 bigs. 20, tiny bit too big given the effective stacks. If this was 200 bigs deep, I'd be much more on board with it. We do get a call from a 74 VPIP, and that's just whatever. Do we want to play a 2 or a 3 street game here? That's the only question. Let's see what I did. It doesn't matter. We just got the fold. Pocket tens. Limp, of course. ISO. Call. Bad flop. Check. Check. Do we start now trying to get to showdown with our hand, or do we start considering? No, as soon as I'm thinking of saying the words, it doesn't make sense. Because I'm turning it into a bluff. Basically, we're trying to make kings or jacks fold. That's it. We're attacking too narrow of a portion of villain's range. Maybe trying to get Queen X to fold too by betting twice. Maybe. Maybe we could. Maybe he's ISO with the worst hand and we sometimes get value from it. Maybe he ISO with the worst hand and we can just bet and it prevents them from being able to bluff us off our hand because we can't check call really. Maybe betting is better here. Maybe just like B40 this turn and then bet bigger on the river. Like just turn our hand into a bluff or protect ourselves from being bluffed. I didn't do that. And we just folded that. Yeah, I think once it checks back on an A side board, Ace Queen X, which is going to be, you would imagine, a pretty big C bet number from him. Once they don't C bet, I think we should probably just start betting our hand and bluffing with it. Queen, queen, limp. Four. So queens is like right on the cusp for me of like, do I want to limp raise? Do I want to limp call? And it's usually player dependent and situation dependent. Here, I think we definitely want to limp raise this, given multi-way. Because the reason we're doing the limping in the first place is to avoid multi-way spots with big hands. If we'd have 3x here, it had gone call, call, call. It's a grim spot for queens. Out of position to two players, multi-way pot, etc. Doesn't matter what the flop comes down, it's a grim spot unless you flop a set. It's tough to play. So I think probably given it's the multi-way action here against one player, maybe we could, depending on the player type, mix between raise and call. I think versus three, I think we just have to raise. And the question is what size. There's now 18 blinds in the pot. That raise has been 4x. I think like feels like I want to go to like 26. If I was playing the hand again now, and who knows what I'm going to do, I haven't reviewed any of these hands. It feels like I'd like to go 26 here. 24, fair enough. And we take it down. And again, we're happy with that. Fair enough, it's pocket queens. We haven't won a massive pot, but we've taken 18 bigs down pre without a fight. It's a good result. It's a good result. Jacks, limp, ISO, call. I think with jacks, maybe we just call this one. I think if queens is right on the cusp, then jacks just becomes a limp call, I think. Check, check, check. Lead, call, fold. Just call again. Yep, and this time it didn't work out, but even had we raised pre-flop. I mean, maybe if we raise pre-flop C-bet, maybe we take it down, but whatever. Not being result orientated. It's part of the strategy. There's pros and cons to it. That's one of the cons. Limp, ISO, call, call, check, bet, call, check, bet, call again. Although it's getting dicey. Check, check. But I mean, I don't know what he's doing with Ace King on the turn there. This is what you see quite a lot in these games. From all player profiles, a lot of what Pete Clark would call polarization errors, merging, whatever you want to call it, where quite often people will aggress on flops and turns with marginal made hands, medium strength made hands, even hands like this, and then the river, they will just give up. It will just check back. I think like taking call forward lines with hands like this in this pool, in this population, is really quite good. Because the third barrel is just rarely weak. I observe a lot of hands. I'm in a lot of hands, and you see a lot of like B40, B60, B75. Generally, the bigger the bet, the more indication that someone's going to triple. If the early streets go, like, I don't know, B60 or B40 or B50 or something like that, and then the turn is a similar percentage of the pot, quite often that's an indication it's going to score like bet check or bet half pot again, and it's going to be a very merged range. And then when you see like bet on the flop, bigger bet turn or bet bigger bet river, it's generally a lot more polar and incredibly heavily weighted towards value. And this is a classic example of that, where someone's just taken a hand that doesn't need to bet the flop and bet it. I can get on board with that. 2 overs, backdoor flush draw up against a weak range and get behind the flop. The turn, I think with this hand, the turn bet's just bad, especially if you're not going to follow through on the river and just let tens just basically walk into the end zone. Pocket eights, limp, ISO, call, miss, fold. Okay. Pocket kings, limp, ISO from the small. So you'd imagine this is going to be a bit stronger range, given it's coming from the small blind. I mean, we're still just limp raising, of course. Your man calls, deuce, jack, 5, dry, check, SPR, 5, thereabouts. I think just smallish here. How small? Can we play a 2-street game here? No, we can't. We can't play a 2-street game. Even if we potted it, we still leave that over pot, and I don't want to pot it here anyway. So we just got to play a 3-street game so we can go smallish on this flop. Call. Delightful turn. Now we have SPR 2. Check. We like bet something like 60% here. What? Sorry, I'm just having a funeral for my head for my check there. That is horrific. Now, whether I've thought this player is likely to bluff the river or not if we check back, I don't. This is just really bad. This is not at all happy with this. Maybe I just thought we'd get too many, we just get overfolds, and I thought maybe checking back and then we'd get value on the river. Possibly I can get behind why I might have thought that. That's the only thing I can think would come to mind, is that I think the fold equity is just too high on this like real brick turn. The guy, I'm not worried about backdoor flushes coming in. It's like a limp raise pot, etc. We've got the king of spades. Maybe I thought it's just going to be too overfolded, but if I think that, just bet small again, Ray. Just really small. Just bet like fucking quarter or something. Don't bet nothing. Your man checks, and now all of a sudden we just can't get all in. We go with B40 now. This is probably me just trying to get maybe heroed by some ace highs. I don't know, fucking pocket nines, pocket eights, etc. I understand why I've taken the line, but I don't like it. You do get the call. And yeah, fine, it worked out this time. We maybe won close to the max there, but maybe it's okay. Maybe it's okay. Who knows? Ace king off. No one did us a favour. ISO in. That's a shame. I can get behind check or bet here. I think, given the nature of the people in the hand, I think betting. We do go with 2/3, and everyone just folds. Fine. Ace king again. Limp, ISO, call. 17 big blinds in the pot. He's made it 5x. I'm thinking 30-ish here. 25, too small. I think the overwhelming theme from this so far is I think my ISOs have just been my raises have all been just a bit on the small side. Doesn't matter this time again. Maybe it's fine if the limp folding to those sizes. Maybe we don't need to spend more money. Maybe that's something I'm going to take away from doing this. Limp the nines. ISO call. 9, please, dealer. Nope. Check. I think betting here will be a mistake. And we just win with the knights at showdown. Right, I don't understand this one. Why are we even looking at this one? It's a straddled pot. Why has this one made it through the filter? It's a straddled pot. The action's going to start here because this guy's straddled. Is it a straddled pot? Fuck knows. What is going on? Why has this one made it in? No idea. No fucking clue why that one's made it in. That's clearly just an aberration like I've misclick limped. Because if you were to see my stats, you would know I'm not misclick limp. I'm not limping these hands. That's just me somehow fucking misclicking. Kings. Limp. Small blind ISO. 15 bigs in the pot. He's made it 8. What size to go here? I wouldn't want to see myself go less than 30. We are in position. Maybe we just go 25. But I think when we're limp raising, it's pretty polarizing. I think 4x-ish, probably better. 29, whatever, fine. Cold call. Then the original guy folds. Whatever, boring. Ran 8 off. Marvellous. Limp. Call. No set again. Checks through. Fold. Just to show you the outcome of the hand. We had the worst hand. Aces. Limp. ISO to 5. Call. Fold. 16 bigs in the pot. 200 effective. Out of position to the pre-flop raiser. Here, I think, in the region of 25. Like 5x. 16 in the pot, though. Maybe slightly bigger. If we make it 25 here, it's going to put 41 in the pot. He's going to have 20 to call. He's going to be getting like 2 to 1. I think 25 is fine. 31. Maybe a bit too big. Aces again. Sorry, clicked it one too far there. Slightly deeper here, 230 bigs so at the start of the hand. Out of position, so I think probably. I mean, I've made it 27.5 here. I only made it 25 last time. Oh, no, 30, didn't I? I can't remember, 30 something. I think this is fine. I don't really know. Like, anywhere in the region of 5x seems reasonable. Folds. Maybe it's too big. I don't know. But I don't want to do is just like make it too small. Like make it like 18, 19. And they call range, which is good because we've got pocket aces, but we're out of position and then things get complicated. Limp the kings. ISO. Clicked on too fast again. 11 bigs in the pot. He's only made it, say, 5 for argument's sake. I think around 25 here is about right. Fold. Okay, this one's going to be a fun one. And the 48.6 min ISOs, 3 limps. You could make a case for limp 3-bet in this hand against someone, but it's 48.6. He's just going to have... What does a 48.6's ISO range look like? I mean, maybe we're going to find out by the end of this hand. Hopefully this hand goes to showdown so we can see what a 48.6's ISO range looks like. No, we're not going to get to find out. It's king limp. I think we should just stab this flop. We do. Take it down. Jack, jack. Limp, 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 limp. Shit flop. Shit turn. Fold. Yep, fine. 10s limp. Oh, 10x ISO. Too fast. in 200 bigs deep, I'm not going to call limp call 10x. It's a rare size. When you've seen in the video, like with 5x, 6x, 4.5x is a typical size we're seeing. I mean, maybe this player does things differently, but when I see the 10x, I think there's a lot of bet size equals hand strength going on. So I think this is just going to be like top of the deck. But then does that mean we have more implied odds? So should we be calling versus 10x? Don't know. Answers on a postcard or in the comments, please. But we folded. Limp. 2 limps. No one does us a favour of isolating, and we get a really miserable flop. Check. Call. What, Reg? You what, Reg? I mean, he's only half pot, so maybe it's a good raise. Maybe an 8 goes bigger. I was expecting just call, though. I mean, maybe this size is indicative of like a Queen X or a 10X. That might bet call. Maybe it's less indicative of an 8 because he has only bet half the pot. Who knows? Anyway, we raised and he folded. Limp, ISO, call. Check, check. He bets just half pot here. Don't really want to call down with his hand. Just going to fold, I guess. It's king, limp, ISO. Oh, I keep doing this now. I'm trying to rush and look at the clock and realising I've only got about 15 minutes or so left. 69.46. Clearly a big weapon. Probably raise bigger than this against this profile. Maybe 30 against this type of player. He calls. SPR 4, whatever, small jam, something like that. Oh, I'm going for a check raise. Reggie's going for a check raise. Oh, he's not. Reg. Oh, Reg. If you're going to check this hand to a maniac, we're checking with the intention of raising. Reggie. Check back. And do we check again to try and induce on the river? I think we probably should. I don't like this. We should probably check again. Let him bet a queen. Let him bluff. If he's got an ace, he's definitely going to bet anyway. I think this check here minimises the amount we can win. I think it just should be a check. As played, I think we should just check. I mean, maybe we won the max with our line, but I don't like it. Limp. Call. Give up. Yep. Fine. 2 kings. ISO from the small blind, who's clearly a fish, not playing a full stack. Shit stats. Big blind's clearly a fish, not playing a full stack. Shit stats. Button's clearly a fish on his stats. This range couldn't just be a load of shit. It's 3x versus 2 limps. And it's a player that's playing way too loose. God knows. 18. 21, fine, whatever. Take it down. 19 in the pot, 7x ISO nearly. I'm thinking not less than 30. Fine. And again, we just take it down. But all these pots, we're just happy to take them down. In my opinion, it's the best case scenario. We just take it down pre. 20 bigs in the pot there, and we just won it pre-flop without a fight. With a hand that versus 2 ranges probably has who knows what, somewhere between 35 to 60% equity maybe. Limp. Um, he made it 4x over 2 limpers. This will not be a particularly strong range. I wouldn't imagine. Versus 2 limps and they're just 4xing. But because it's probably not a strong range, it's probably a bad player. Do we want to keep them in the pot, or are we happy just picking a 12 up pre? I think that's fine given there's 2 players. Maybe you could go a bit smaller. Maybe we could go like 21. Is this the same player from the last time? I know it looks like it might be. And also, this should not have been a limp. This should have been a raise. This is the second time we've done this. I've not noticed that we are now at a 7 max table and we are in the what will be under the gun is 6 max. So this is a mistake. We should have opened, not limped. I think now this guy's come along, tens is not going to be part of my limp raise range. Just call. Easy fold now. Play it through. Note that the 7x was a premium, whereas we've been seeing 4 and 5x, etc. I think that's a really important population read. Not everyone, of course, but I think it's a really important population read. This is one where I could consider limp calling, I think, given we've got 41.11 to go behind. We've got a 43.15 ISO in from the small. He's got this big gap between his VPIP and PFR. So I think this is going to be stronger than usual. And he's made it quite big. I think we could convert this into a limp call versus this player, given we've got this player behind. Obviously, limp raising is going to be fine. But I think we're going to see quite a bit of 4-bet from this guy if we raise. Because 43.15, it's a big gap. The guy likes just calling. So maybe we could convert this into a limp call. We didn't. But I think as we can see by my sizing there, I was obviously a little bit concerned about this guy's range because we've been going bigger than 3x. And this isn't even 3x. So obviously I was concerned by that gap in his PFR, but I decided to go with raise anyway, and it worked out. Limp. I think we should just stab this flop. Don't like that check. There's just value to be had. No, this is too bad, right? I need to get better when I'm limping and I've got these sort of like good hands that are under top pair. We just need to be putting some money in the pot with them. We finally do put some money in the pot. I mean, it wouldn't have worked anyway, but I think probably we just need to put some money in the pot earlier. It's king. I hope I'm going to get through all these fucking hands. Limp, ISO, 3-bet. Are we willing to get it 4-bet, get it in here? We just 4-bet folding? I think 4-bet fold here might be the line, but to 4-bet fold, we're going to need to make it like fucking, what? Like fucking 40? We're going to put 40 in and fold? Probably fucking not. We're going to 4-bet though, surely. Yeah, I've gone with the clicky. I've clearly had 4-bet fold in mind, which is why I've gone for this click. I can assure you when I make it this size, I am folding to jam. Yeah, this might be a bit face up and shitty. do get a call, and we get a good flop, and maybe just small. Fold. Kings, limp, ISO, call, 14.5 in the middle. He's made it 4.5x. Um, 22, somewhere around there. 26. Fold. Kings again. 3x this time. ISO. We're pretty confident this is going to be weak. We've got two pretty active players. 13 in the middle. I think something like anywhere like 18 to 20. Call. Fold. Top set. Check or small, I think like 20%. 20% call. Because we block so many calls, I doubt I'll have checked in game, but I'm thinking maybe check here. I'm not worried about the backdoor spades. Not that worried about him having a hand like Jack 10. I think basically this guy's drawing stone dead. And it's going to be hard to get called. We did go with bet and he folded. Yeah, I think maybe we can consider check. Our hand's just too strong. He blocks too much of the board. Got to give him a chance to bluff after we just B2A on the flop. So 5x ISO, 3 callers. Sorry, 2 callers. 20 in the pot. 30, something like that. Take it down. Get the ISO from the small, from a reg. To 6 bigs, I'm thinking something in the region of 24 to 27 here. 27, fold. 9s, limping. Quads, check, bet, call, check, check. I think it's bet something like 2/3 and hope he's like got an ace or some kind of bluff catcher or check, I think. Don't think we can go big here. We did go check, Willem just check back. And he did have, well, he had that, didn't he? Let's just move on. Christ, these hands never ending. I might not get fucking finished here. Limp. Everyone limps. Obviously easy call. 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 Nuts. Limp. Yeah, just all in. Look at the stack size. 64, 74, 79. Just all in. Beat the 10. And we are getting towards the end because this was a hand from last night. We are getting somewhere near the end of the hands now, but I literally have about 4 minutes. Limp, ISO, small. Given what we know about this these ISOs. Maybe we can limp raise this to try and ISO the whale. I think we should, in fact. I don't. That's a mistake, in my opinion. SPR3, we have an overpair. We need a lot of protection. I can get behind jam here. We didn't jam, but we did 3-bet. We get all in anyway. Ran it twice. We're up against Queen Jack off. Nice. Limp. Oops. Limp 9x ISO. But from that stack size, fold. Sorry, I really am going to have to rush these now. Limp. 13x ISO. Raise. Fold. 13x fold. Nice. Limp. Raise. Folds. Limp. Raise. 3-bet. Fold, I guess. Cold 4. Yep, we're out. Limp. $16 big blinds in the middle. Many players. Like 22. 21. 2 callers. Check. No, bet and take it. And this is the last hand. Kings. Limp. ISO. Call. Call. 22 in the pot. Multiple action here. I think we need to go way over 30. Call. 2 callers. SPR 1.5. Bet something, Reg. Doesn't really matter, I don't think. Well, it does matter, but I have no idea. We went for a quarter and we took it down. So there we go. There's all our hands. I need to poo. So we'll very quickly show my results today in this game. In case some of you think, what a moron, limp strategy. It's pretty good. We've played 5,800 hands. We've made 85 euros, which is about, I don't know what, about 9 buy-ins or so. 9, maybe just over 9 buy-ins. Then you get all the nice rate back you get on GG. My actual rate back's been rubbish. It's like $7 rate back in 6,000 hands. But they do the envelope drops. So I had a nice one, a $12.51 on the first day, which is nice. Typically, they're around $1 a time. And I've also had a cash in the GG free roll. So I think my rate back is currently running at about 40 something dollars, 50, maybe 50 with the extra rate back. And I checked and I've paid some like 60 odd in rake, maybe 70. So I think overall, over 5,000 hands, after I've had the rate back coming in, I've only been raked 2.5. So I think that the effective rake in these games is maybe like 5 or 6 big blinds when you count all the different rewards, which is, at first when I used to play this game, I thought the rake isn't beatable because the rake's like double digits. But I also think we're probably getting something in the region of 50 to 60% rate back with all the little bits and bobs that you get. So, yeah, looking forward to continuing with this as the week goes on. I need to go now because I've got to leave the house in about 2.5 minutes and I also need a shit. Thanks for watching, everybody. Take care and bye-bye for now.